Cheers folks and welcome to my channel. It's the final war of the season, and after this war it will be clear if we go through the season unbeaten and if we manage to be top 3. And for the last war we really got a big opponent, and that's for Loki. They are placed number 5 in the master bracket, and according to war rating they're number 6. A lot of really skilled, a lot of really good players. So a really tough one to end the season with. But we wanted to be top 3, so we had to give it all and had to make sure that we win also this war number 12. And I was back on my path number 7, my beloved path number 7, and that means also with my standard team, which you can see here: Void, Blade, and Ghost Rider for that villain synergy for Blade. So as they say, never change a winning team. I decided to go with the team that has cleared most of my path this season, and actually also very successfully. So I thought, okay, why change a winning team and fool around with some new sort of combination that I haven't tested before? Testing is always for off-season, not for the last war of the season. So, as I'm doing path 7, and all the way path 7, also in the first section I'm going here on the left side, and going up to this node, which is node number 4. And as you can see, it's a 6-star undupe mystic champion with 86,000 health. And the abilities on this node, I've explained in a lot of other videos before because it's not the first time that I'm taking this path, but still, for the new watchers, happily explain again. It's an immune node, so immune to poison, immune to bleed. Actually, it's double immune to bleed because also the global node is that there is bleed immunity. And then it's a limber node, meaning that for every stun, the stun duration for the next stun is reduced by 20%. So you can maybe parry stun 3 times, and then they're basically parry immune. Or stun immune. You have to fight them like stun immune champions. And then they have the usual champion boosts. In this case, the champion boost is plus 250% health and plus 150% attack. And as it's the last war of the season and we have to absolutely make sure that we win this war, the mandatory boost of course, always with a boost. It's a safety precaution that just makes sure that even though it's the beginning of the war, it's the very first fights, which are not the hardest nodes, still, that's where you are easily arrogant and that's where you easily make mistakes, which you regret when you lose. In the end, it turned out to be a Loki. Actually, my decision to go in with Blade was good. I wasn't quite sure. I assumed it would be either Loki or Juggernaut. That's why I took Blade, because in that case he has Danger Sense, because both are villain. And with Loki I always try to get him to his special 2, even though it's unblockable, but it's easier to evade if you ask me. So, you know, if possible, try to get him to his special 2. And after I parry stunned him like 3 times, I basically played him like a stun immune, let him hit my block. I evaded his heavy and then I countered, and again, rinse repeat, trying to get him to his special 2, which in this case actually worked really well. And then I had no more champ for the rest of the evening. This was the only champion they placed in section 1. So I just moved up to the next champion so that I could continue in the morning on the second part of the path. And that basically was starting with a Jane Foster. Jane Foster, and to my surprise, when I looked now at the stats, rank 2. So what they did is they made some paths apparently rather easy, whereas they did other paths really hard, where they basically plastered the path with really difficult champs to counter or to attack against. Quite smart, I have to say. I, in the end, seemed to be one of the few lucky ones who ended up with a path that was rather easy, because Jane Foster, rank 2 on that node, is absolutely manageable. Note 31 is a buffet node, so basically for each buff you trigger on yourself, your opponent then purifies it and heals up for max 5% of their health. And that is also amplified by 150% recovery boost. And then it's a mini boss, so they always have plus 500% health and plus 200% attack. And still, you know, usually these champs on that node have like 130, 140, 150,000 health. This Jane Foster rank 2 had 75,000. So I think this was the shortest fight I ever had on that node. I didn't even get to the stage where I, you know, had to inflict a lot of my debuffs and actually got to the stage where it's like Fear of the Void. What you do is you just spam special ones, parry stun. You can easily parry stun on that node, and then I personally also prefer her to get to her special 2, but she would always fire off a special 1, so you just have to evade her special 1. And again, after I inflicted like 3-4 debuffs, she was already down. So it was a very clever tactical move to put an easy champ on that node. So again, the difficult paths were this time other paths. And on node number 38 then, the next, an undupe 6-star tech. And as it's aggression armor, meaning that the opponent gets an armor up every 2 seconds unless you hit, and with every hit you take away again an armor up. And because it's explosive personality, meaning whenever you hit their block more than 5 times, you lose 25% of your max health. This is a very good node for Iron Man Infinity War, as I've explained also in previous videos. A 6-star undupe actually also works. Iron Man Infinity War does not have to be duplicate on this node, but in the end it was not the Iron Man Infinity War. They again tried to fool us by pretending it's a champ that in the end it wasn't, and it turned out to be a 6-star Sentinel. And what you do with 6-star Sentinel, fighting with Void, basically again same strategy, spamming special 1s, inflicting as many debuffs as possible, and with Sentinel it's his special 1. Always try to have him fire off his special 1. That's the one that's easy to evade, or easier to evade. And if he doesn't do it for a very long time and you have the risk of being cornered on your side of the map, that's the only situation where I would actually maybe consider getting him to a special 2. With Void, actually it's no problem, because even if he has his 100 analysis charges like now, which means that he triggers Incinerate when he hits even your block, it doesn't matter because Void is Incinerate immune. But still, I personally find it just easier to evade his special 1. You have to be a little bit patient. He sometimes takes a long time to fire it off, but eventually he will. And then you evade twice, his first shot and then the second one, and then you counter directly his first, second, and you counter directly, and spam your specials 1. And then eventually also there the debuffs will get him down, even though he hit me in the end, but that was already when he was basically down, so it didn't matter anymore. And that was actually the hardest fight on this path. That's already as much as I can say right now, because the next champion, again, is a rank 3 skill champion. So as much as it could have been a Korg, it wasn't. And on this node, it's Arc Overload every 20 seconds, so a healing buff triggering every 20 seconds, and that's even reinforced because of 100% increased healing abilities, and then the usual champion boosts, and actually also a armor up. Because on this node, skill champions can always be a Agent Venom or a Kingpin or a Taskmaster. It's sometimes a bit tricky to go in with Void, because then they can shrug off Void's debuffs. So a skill champion on that node I always prefer to fight with Blade, especially if it's a rank 3. A rank 3 doesn't have that much health that you're not able to get him down in time. So I decided to go in with Blade, and in the end it turned out to be somebody completely different that I actually wouldn't have counted with. But since it's an armor up node, also quite smart, and that's a Black Panther Civil War. You basically, from the very beginning, you can't parry stun him, otherwise he will reflect the parry right onto you, because he has the armor up from the beginning, and when he has armor up and you parry stun him, he basically turns the parry right against you. So that's the one thing to watch out for. Don't parry stun him, just block. Let him hit your block. Eventually he'll fire off his heavy attack and then evade his heavy attack, or you evade his special one. One thing for the special one, because sometimes also that can be a bit tricky, always back up a little. Because if you're standing too close, you're not actually able to really evade his special one, or let's say you cannot really evade his second punch of the special one. So always try to have a little bit of distance between you and Black Panther Civil War. But then eventually, after a while, you know, just spam your specials 2 with Blade, and then eventually he's down. And that was actually already it from my path, because for the mini-boss there was actually a Nightcrawler that is just much easier with a Corvus Glaive. So one of my fellow teammates with a Corvus actually took that mini-boss. But at the end of the season, actually probably the easiest path that I had at the end of the season. Another zero death path for me, and I can also say again, we did win this war. So we managed to be unbeaten during the entire season 5, and as it looks now, we are ending in the top 3 again, which would be great, because that would mean that we end top 3 every single season since season 1. And that is quite an achievement. So I really hope that we get the confirmation now very, very soon, and that we can celebrate to be top 3, and then really also celebrate and enjoy the rewards that are coming with it. And even though it was not the most demanding and challenging path now, I hope still that you liked the video. If you did, feel free to give it a like. If you're new to the channel, and I will promise to put much more challenging paths of other wars in the future, please hit the subscribe button, and I hope to see you very, very soon on my channel when I'm enjoying all my rewards from season 5. Cheers, folks.